I've not spoken to her. And I've realized that bullying, even if you don't understand it at that time, it does hurt you from the inside. Emotionally, it hurts you. It's torturous and it can do a lot of things to you. But standing up for yourself is very important.
I think bullying is like a very I think it's a space where if you're the victim, it really sucks. And then the interesting thing that I've realized as I've sort of grown up, at the time you just do it because you think it's funny and you don't realize it's at someone else's expense. But it's also the other thing that's also really interesting. At one point I was like, I feel so bad, and then after a point I was like, why were people not stopping me? And it's an interesting experience even if you were a bully.
But I think one thing that sports does teach you is to be disciplined. So I think you yourself as a sports person want to do well in everything. So I don't think you like to see yourself failing. So I think I would thank golf because it made me more disciplined, more humble.
Coaches actually respond. It's not that common. And whenever I meet coaches, I mean, they just tell me, oh, we're getting, depending on the college, depending on division, how good they are as a program, they're getting anywhere between 200 to 1,000 emails. And it's not easy. This is like on a weekly basis. So it's how do you expect them to navigate through all these different emails? This is All Things College and Life. Hi, Hunar. Welcome. Nice to have you on today. So, obviously, you're heading to the US next year as a student athlete. And I thought we could chat a little bit about that and, your school journey in general. So, thanks for being here and welcome.
Pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. So, Hunar, you obviously are currently going to step by step. And I guess you have your board exams coming up soon as well. So, I would just love to perhaps start there and talk to you a little bit about your school journey, how it's been so far, and what you're sort of going through right now, going into boards as well.
Yes, I've been in step by step since the start, since toddler. It's been my first school and now my last school. It's been a great place. It's a very welcoming and homely environment. The teachers are very nice, especially when you're young. You need those mentors, and they're like your second parents. So it's a very nice school overall. The studies are very nice and everything is good. The way you make friends and all of that, the process of making friends is way easier than it is right now because you're very little, not really like bothered about anything as such. So my friends kept changing as my classes kept changing. And now I have these few friends which are constant through these years, especially in high school from 9th to 12th. And I think I'm going to have them in college and after that as well. As a young child, I really didn't like going to school, especially in fifth grade. I was bullied when I was in fifth grade. So yeah, school does teach you many things. Some you make few good friends, you make bad friends. The bad friends do teach you some things, but it's overall a good experience. Um, in fifth, I was bullied. I had this one friend. I was in a friend group and this one friend like really bullied all of us. And when you're that little, you really don't understand everything, and you just let go. So that year, I especially
Yeah.
hated going to school. I remember faking being sick, taking medicines for no reason, so that my mom could like allow me to miss school or like all of that. I did a lot of crazy things just so that I could miss school, crying every morning because I didn't feel like going to school just because of that one friend. But slowly and slowly, I realized that, it's part of it and it is normal, but you should learn how to like let go.
Mm.
And it took place for like about like 7, 8 months, after which my sister actually like got me like buying things for that one friend just to please her, be on her good side and all of that. So she realized that that's not a very good thing because she's like 3 years older to me. So she was like my parent too. She known my parents, and then my mom tried to explain it to me, And then I took a step forward. I like stopped being friends with that one person. And I think that was the best decision I made. And when I think about it today, I laugh at myself that how could I let that one person do that to me? Because that was just crazy. The things I did for her and the things she did to me. So yeah, school otherwise has been very nice. After fifth grade, I made few very good friends, and they've been my friends still today. And study wise, step by step is a very nice place. You learn many things. The teachers' environment is also very nice. So yeah, I'm glad to be in that school. In 12th, with boards coming up and with my golf, I'm balancing both, which can be
Yeah.
tough. But I'm a perfectionist and I like to do both things like very well. So I try to
Yeah.
manage and balance both, which I am doing well, I think. And yeah, but what's coming up, I'm not playing as much right now, but I'm still practicing on and off, focusing more on studies till
Mm.
March, April at least, while I get my boards over and then I focus on golf more.
Yeah. Wow. So school's been a real roller coaster for you.
It has.
Yeah. Yeah. I went back to my school today, funnily enough. Earlier today, we had like a winter carnival we used to have in school. So it's been like the last time I went was 10 years ago or something. So few of us friends decided to go back. And it's funny that you talk about, being bullied because I hate to say it, but I used to actually be a little bit of a bully in school. And I mean, one of my best friends was there with me, who is literally like a brother today. And he was just telling me, do you remember in that corner that fight happened? And I was like, I don't want to remember. Like, I don't like myself from that time and the things I would do. And yeah, I think bullying is like a very, very, I think it's a space where if you're the victim, it really sucks. And then the interesting thing that I've realized as I've sort of grown up, at the time you just do it because you think it's funny and you don't realize it's at someone else's expense. Uh, but it's also the other thing that's also really interesting. At one point, I was like, I feel so bad, and then after a point, I was like, why were people not stopping me? And it's an interesting experience even if you were a bully. I mean, I hope anyone who ever did that learned their own lessons and changed at some point in life. And I think now with your generation there's a lot more awareness with that. Schools take more steps, uh, but maybe like talk to me a little bit about that, because in fifth grade it can't be so easy to deal with that also. And I think, like, the one thing I picked on when you were sharing that is that you were saying that it was your friend, and friend is picking on you, and it was the same conversations that I was having with my friend today. He wasn't like my bestest friend at that time, but he was still in a close circle.
Yeah.
And very often you end up, sometimes bullying people who are actually your friends as well. So it's a it's really an interesting phenomenon to me, like how it all works, but and why it happens, how it happens. But I would love to sort of know from your end that how did you even recognize that? Did you even know that was bullying, what was happening at the time?
I mean, yeah, usually it's some outsider who actually picks on you and bullies you, but this was actually like in fifth grade, she was my best friend. So we were a group of like five, six girls. And there was this one girl who used to like bully all of us. She used to like do a lot of things, push us down the stairs and all of that stuff. Just because for her it was funny and we also used to laugh it off. But then we did realize a little bit that, this is too much, but then we were all just too afraid to let go or to, even stand up for ourselves because like we were actually scared of her. So that's exactly why we all used to like, secretly go buy like chips or chocolates for her from the shop
Um,
without telling anyone. Like just take it for her to be on the good side so that for that day we'll be saved from all of that trouble.
Wow.
And we all did realize, but none of us like even like thought that, let's just like try to tell her anything because then we were scared of what's gonna come back at us. because then
Mm.
we didn't know if we could make friends that easily, or like what will happen once we like stop being friends with her, because she used to like be this boss or whatever. So like, just like standing up for ourselves and going against her, it was like tough for us. So we never
Yeah.
did anything. We used to just play it off and like laugh about it. But then we were a group of five, two, me and another friend of ours. We one day realized that, like, it is a little too much. We did try to talk to her, but then it didn't work out. And then one day my sister, I think, caught me buying something. And she was like, "What is this for?" Because she never saw me eating any of that. And she was just like, "Where does it disappear suddenly?" And then she realized that, I was taking it for that one friend. And then she spoke to me about it, but then I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, even though I want to, tell her or talk to her about it, I don't know how to do it, what to say, and like, what she's gonna do about it. So then she told my mom, my mom told my class teacher, and like my mom took a huge step, and then my class teacher spoke to me, my parents spoke to me, they made me understand. And I was still very scared to, go up to her and still talk to her about it. So my class teacher
Mm.
did it for me. And then she only told me that, just stay away from her. And I was the only girl from that friend group who actually stopped being friends with her that year. And
Yeah.
all the rest were still friends with her because their parents didn't know about it.
Mm.
So then I realized that, it's for the better. Like, what am I getting out of this? Nothing. It's just like, it was actually torturous. When I think
Yeah.
about it right now, I can't even imagine anyone doing that to me. Like, no one at
Mm.
all. Because like today I realize that it's very important to like, understand what's good, what's bad. And that age, I didn't think about it at all.
Yeah.
So I stopped being friends with her. And initially I was like, did I do the right thing? Did I not do the right thing? But then the entire class was on my side and all of them started being friends with me. But otherwise, she didn't let me talk to anyone else from that class. Like, she was like, "You're my friend. You can only talk to me and the four other girls in that group. Otherwise, you can't talk to anyone else." Once I stopped being friends with them, the entire class came to me. They spoke to me. So I was actually like friends with the entire class, and the other four girls were another group of their own. So that's
Wow.
when I realized that I think like I have done the right thing, because all of
Yeah.
them also realized that, what is that girl doing to them? But like none of them also ever said anything because they were also like their life or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, stopped being friends with her. I was friends with other people. They were all actually very nice. And yeah, ever since I haven't spoken to that girl, even though she's in the same class as me today also. I've not
Mm.
spoken to her. And I've realized that bullying, even if you don't understand it at that time, it does hurt you from the inside. Emotionally, it hurts you. It's torturous and it can do a lot of things to you. But standing up for yourself is very important, even though you're little or whatever. But like taking help from someone, even if it's like your mom or your dad or anyone, teacher also, for anything, like it is very important. If you can't do it on your own, take help from someone and like get away from it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's part of life, but I would say that it's not a very good thing to go through, but it teaches you a lot of things. And today I've actually started standing up for myself. Ever since that experience, I don't think anything of that sort has ever happened to me, because I've learned how to stand up for myself, know what's good, what's bad, and I've made the right friends. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I think one thing that sort of stood out to me was also that you were all afraid of kind of standing up to this person because there was almost this fear of what will happen. And I guess to some degree, maybe she was a bit of like a leader of the class or this group. And at times you want to be socially accepted and be a part of that group also, uh, even if it's not really serving you well, but you still want to be there. You still want to be friends with everyone. And it sounds like the fact that you broke out of it it was a very brave move because, like you said, a lot of your friends and classmates actually supported you and realized that maybe we can also break out of this and, get out of this whole bullying habit of hers that was affecting everyone. So yeah, that's a pretty strong thing. And how did you mention that you have like some very close friends now, which you've had since ninth grade, perhaps? How is that whole sort of how did you go about that? Because you also mentioned at the start that it's not always easy to make friends as you go along in school, especially because you're set in your ways,
Yeah.
you have your friends. I remember even from my own school times or even college times that people who are coming in late, it takes a lot for you to go out of your way and include them in your group because you are set in your ways and they have to make the effort. So how did you become close to these friends? Were they already your friends before, or were these new friends that you made?
So in sixth, seventh, and eighth, we have the same class in the 3 years. So one of my friends, I had her since I was in first. So she was my friend throughout. She had two, three friends. So we actually, like, I had two, three friends. So we all just became a group. And then that group extended. And yeah, we were a group of five, six people, like, first the 3 years. Then that group also kind of like dissolved and we weren't friends because in ninth, our class again changed. Then in
Yeah.
ninth, I had two friends who are my best friends still today. And they were with me in ninth and 10th. And it was just that we were in the same class and that I don't know how we made friends with other people, but it was just natural, I would say. And in ninth and 10th, I had another group of friends, like seven, eight of us. That was actually because, like, we bonded because of subjects and we just became friends. I don't remember how we became friends, but we
Yeah.
did become friends. We stopped talking in 11th, but then we're still on and off as friends. In 11th, again, our class changed because of the streams and everything. So in 11th, I have friends who are like in the same subjects as me. So we talk in every class. So we just become friends.
Yeah.
Mm. So yeah, right now I'm like my main friend, my best friends are the people who are in the same subjects as me. And
Mm.
I actually like have them since sixth. So like they've been my best friends since. And otherwise, I do have a couple of friends from other sections, but they're not my bestest of friends, and I don't think I'm going to talk to them in college either. But I do have two, three people who I will talk to, and I'm sure about that in college. I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
And I think after ninth, you actually make friends that you think are going to last for a long time. Before
Sure.
that, I don't think you're actually like you're just making friends just to have company in school and all of that because like that's very important. But in ninth onwards, you're actually like, I want friends who are like there for me and like who I know like I can rely on and all of that. And like you do have a lot of things apart from your school life after ninth grade that you want to talk about. So you make friends based on that, who you think you're like gelling with the most.
Sure.
And yeah, so I think from ninth grade, you make friends which think or you want them to last for a lifetime. So I
Yeah.
think on the basis of that, you make friends, you make good friends.
Great. And I think an important lesson also, I don't know if you've realized this for yourself or not. Sometimes you have to, there's only so much space you can vacate or things people can take up in your life. And sometimes you have to free that up for new things to take that space up. So I think one of the best things you did is maybe break out. And I'm sure there would have been some time where you may have felt that you don't have the closest of friends, but it took some time for you to build that up again. And good to hear that now you have strong friendships.
Yeah, and as you grow older, I think your social circle also becomes smaller. So
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. You'll slowly learn as you keep going because if you asked me when probably I was finishing grade 12 or starting out college, I would have said the same. Uh, you end up having less friends at that time, but more quality friendships. But then again, as you go through college and then post college into your, let's say, your first job, work, you pick up different hobbies. That completely changes. Then you end up having a lot more friends once again. So yeah, you're in for a surprise as you go through your next 10 years or so. Yeah, fair. And one thing, just on the school aspect and the friendship aspect, and then perhaps we'll move to golf and other things too. I wanted to know is that as this was happening, like, breaking out of all those experiences of bullying and then maybe going through a brief phase where you did not have the closest of friends and then you had close friends. How were other parts of your life being impacted? Were there any positive, negative impacts on your school academics or extracurriculars? Did that have any impact and relation?
Um, my personal life was getting impacted, and because I was actually getting hurt. I wasn't realizing it, but from the inside, I was getting hurt. For academic wise, again, it was getting impacted. I wasn't a very studious child when I was young, but still, I did like to study. But when I was doing bad, my friends didn't, when I was doing good, sorry, my friends didn't like that I was doing good. And that would lead to a lot of fights and everything. So, so I think that was one thing that like made me do badly also in school. She wanted me to like help her cheat and all of that. So like to make her do well, I used to
Mm.
end up doing badly. But again, I don't think I like realized it back then. Again, I didn't really bother about my mark.
Yeah.
But right now, if I think about it, I did do very badly in fifth and sixth grade just because I was trying to make her do well. And but otherwise, if it's to a very huge extent and it's like you're not able to focus on anything else, it's taking up a huge part of your mind and all of that, then I think it does impact everything in your life. You're not able to focus on your studies, you're not able to do anything else. But I think for me, I'm able to segregate everything. My personal life is separate from my academics and my sports, even though
Yeah.
it can be interrelated, but I try to like, just separate it as much as I can. The good friends do help you. They motivate you to study. If you're not doing well, they motivate you to do better, which
Mm.
is a very good thing. The bad friends will teach you that, I mean, they want to do well, they don't want good for you.
Mm.
And that's again a very big learning lesson. But I think eventually it does motivate you to do better because you're like, you want to do better than them. Why should I be the one suffering just because they want to do well? So both good and bad teach you things. Good obviously is better, but bad teaches you more for future.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I hope the bad has also taught you that those aren't bad friends. They're just not friends. I mean, if they don't
Right.
like seeing you succeed, they're probably just not your close friends at all. Uh, but cool, coming away from that, and thank you for, sharing that as well, because I know it's not the easiest, especially considering you're still in school and you still interact with a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to talk a little bit about, golf, and for anyone who listens to this podcast and is a golfer, you've been on the IGU circuit, on the junior circuit, playing quite intensely, which means if you're playing IGU tournaments, it means you're away for a whole week, typically for tournaments and then other domestic tournaments that go on. What I would love to know is how have you balanced that out with academics? Because for a lot of student athletes, that ends up being a huge challenge.
Yeah. Um, I would say in even in 12th, I thought that I wouldn't be playing as many tournaments. But to be very honest, I was barely in school in the first term. I only attended school for a week in first term of 12th grade. So there was a lot of catching up of work. And even when I travel for tournaments, I try to, keep in touch with all my friends, my teachers about whatever's happened in school, just so I can be in the loop and try to cover up as much as homework and assignments I can while
Mm.
traveling for tournaments after my round or whatever. And um, I'm I'm actually like one person who doesn't, even though I can get these exceptions to like not do certain assignments from school, I don't like to be like the only one not doing something. So I end up doing those assignments as well. It can make you stay up till late and study, and like you sleep for like 2, 3 hours a night or whatever. But like at least you're in loop with everything that's going on in school and you're playing golf. And
Mm.
one way I would like actually like keep up with all the assignments is on the way back from school in the bus. Also, I used to sit and do all my assignments so that
Oh.
that I can like go for practice in the evening and like play golf and do homework hand in hand. In 11th and 12th, it's actually less of assignments with more of studying.
Mm.
So I would take few hours of my day to just study. And so in the morning, I study better in the morning. So I used to wake up early, study till about 12 or 1 in the afternoon. And then at 2, I used to go for practice till evening. So I used to like get both things done in the day so I actually feel good and be productive. And yeah, my friends also keep telling me, I don't know how you do this, how you're so productive because they keep procrastinating, all of that. But I think one thing that sports does teach you is to be disciplined. So I think you yourself as a sports person want to do well in everything. So I don't think you like to see yourself failing. So I think I would thank golf because it made me more disciplined, more humble, and it taught me that, studies is also very important. And I don't like getting bad marks, even though, like, I my teachers won't say anything because I'm traveling or anything, but I don't like to get bad marks. I study as much as I can, especially during my exam season. I don't
Yeah.
get that much golf. I study more. I think that's a huge part that helps me balance both because when I have tournaments, I'm mainly practicing, I'm barely studying, but when I have exams, I put golf aside for that 1 month. I
Mm.
practice like an hour or two a day or like alternate days, and I study mostly. So I think that's helped me like really balance. And when you're attending school, I'd say just focus in class and like try to be as attentive as possible. Take help from your friends, from your teachers, extra help, extra classes, whatever you
Yeah.
missed, just catch up on all of that. So that really helps, and like just balancing, like taking out time to do both in a day is also very important. So that helps.
Mm. Great. I think one thing you mentioned, which I really resonate with, is that, the fact that because you're a student athlete, there's this sort of mindset to you want to be good at everything. You don't consciously want to be bad at something. So academics is a part of it. And what I'd love to know is that is your motivation to, let's say, work hard on that, is that I'm, let's say, an athlete and I have a certain kind of mindset or discipline and I just, I have to work, so I have to work? Or do you genuinely enjoy the subjects that you're studying? So there's a liking towards what you're doing. So the study actually attracts you to do it.
Um, I don't like all subjects that I'm studying. But when I'm studying, I try to pretend as if I do like the subject. Me study better. History is one thing I hate. Like I don't like that subject at all, but I still have it in 11th and 12th. But
Mm.
when I'm studying history, I just try to like, think that I'm liking the subject so that it makes me study better. It makes me like understand everything better. Psychology, on the other hand, I love psychology. So
Mm.
just by reading, I understand it just registers in my head. But history, I just have to like memorize everything line by line because I'm just not understanding anything in the textbook. So that's one thing that I'm mainly dependent on memorizing. But psychology, I actually understand. I like the subject. In class, also, I pay a lot of attention. I answer questions. In history, I don't. So, liking for the subject can motivate you to study,
Hmm.
and not liking the subject, I don't think it'll demotivate you, or you might not want to study it on a daily basis. But when you have
Oh,
exams, the pressure of exams on your head, I think we all end up just studying it, even if it's for the sake of studying it.
yeah,
In on a daily basis, if you have to study a subject you don't like, I don't think that's possible. I also don't study history on a daily basis, but if I have to, I can study psychology or entrepreneurship on a daily basis because that's something I'm interested in. So
yeah,
liking of a subject can help you in like daily practice and all of that, but at the end of the day, you put in equal amounts of effort in all subjects. At least I put an equal amount of efforts in all the subjects that I can do equally well at all.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, some people also study because of the pressure of their parents and all of that. But so in my case, I don't think my parents are like more chill than I am when it comes to, but
Yeah,
yeah, I still like to get good marks, so that helps me.
makes sense. And I think that's true. I mean, having a different strategy for different subjects also works because I always think that, let's say motivation always is not enough. Ambition sometimes is not enough. And like you need different things to sort of push you to do certain things. So perhaps with, like you said, with the psychology, it's genuinely interesting. With the history, it's like a necessity and you just have to do it. But you turn up and do it, which is a big thing, which honestly a lot of students are still not able to do, even if it's last minute. And
You know,
uh, so fair enough. And tell me on this piece now, the balancing act with golf and academics that you've had to do has, because you're in a school that also has IB, that also has CBSE, you of course, we, I think, decided this together that CBSE will be better, it'll be easier to handle it. But tell me from your experience, do you feel taking CBSE has helped in that? And let's say if you were in IB, life would have been different?
CBSE for me personally, I think CBSE does allow you to play sports. IB, I know many people who have actually stopped playing their sports because they're in IB. IB is a lot of work, a lot
Mm.
of assignments, and you actually have to study throughout the year. In CBSE, it's actually even if you study a month before your exams, I think you can manage to like do well. Even though
Mm.
recommended to study the entire year, but like if
Yeah.
for a sports person, CBSE is much more easier
Mm.
because the amount of assignments, the way you learn and the teaching style in IB is completely different as compared to CBSE. You do need to attend school, you do need to attend classes, but in CBSE, you can self study to a certain extent.
Mm.
IB is way tougher. I wouldn't say CBSE is easy, but IB
Right.
is like way tougher. And
Yeah.
for me personally, if I was an IB, I don't think I would have been able to miss as much school or travel as much. So CBSE is a better option, even though people say that IB helps you prepare better for US. I mean, that can be the case, but I think CBSE is also equally good, or you can actually like adapt to the new working style. But if you're a sports person, you do need to take out time to practice. I don't think IB actually allows that. And in schools, in my school, there's a very clear division between CBSE and IB. And IB
Mm.
students actually look down upon the CBSE students because of whatever reasons they have. But I don't think CBSE is that easy to be looked down upon. It is
Yeah,
its own difficulties, even though it may be lesser work, but it's actually you do have to study in both. But as sports, I would say I CBSE does make stuff easier.
for sure. Yeah. And I would agree with you that with the IB, it's a lot of student athletes will end up struggling to balance out the sport at the same level, or the academics start to suffer.
Yeah.
And few of my IB students who got to really strong academic colleges and did well in the sport, funnily enough, were through COVID times, and that was all online schooling. There was no commuting to school, it was online. Uh, Getting marks was a lot easier at that time, and so I think, but after that or before that, it has been hard, and fair enough. I want to ask you one more thing on this piece, which I just remembered. You mentioned like some nights where you would not have a lot of sleep. It'll be like 3 hours of sleep. And that was one way of balancing it. I would love for you to share how often did that happen? Because that's also not a very healthy thing.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
sometimes IB students tell me that, oh, like I've just been sleeping 4 hours this week, and I'm like, I can't imagine that. Like, I still need like 7 hours of sleep, and if I get less than that, I can do 1 or 2 days with that. But then I hear from so many students that barely sleeping and just going to school. So, how often did that happen for you?
during my exams, I think it would happen more often because I used to study till late. And I mean, it wasn't as often, but during the weekends, I think I used to like try to like actually cover up on a lot of work. So I used to stay up till late
Mm.
because sometimes in the weekend, I used to let go of studies during the weekday because I'm practicing and then I'm too tired to study. In the weekend, I used to actually cover up on work, stay up till late. And those 2, 3 hours didn't harm me that much because it was very rare. I would say like once or twice a week. But I used to like catch up on my sleep the rest of the night. Um, but it was mainly during my exams when I used
Mm.
to like stay up, study, try to finish my syllabus because I didn't like to keep a lot of stuff for the last day just before my exams. I used to stay up, study, and I eventually did get used to it. First, I used to feel very tired during the day because I've barely slept, but I think my body became used to it after a point. But it wasn't that frequent. I know it's not very healthy and I wouldn't advise it. But
Mm.
if some people do end up studying much better at night. So
Sure.
I think that's one of the reasons I also did stay up. Sometimes I used to feel like, I have more focus at night.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I have anyone to text or talk to at night. So like it's just less distractions. You get to focus more. So if you can study better at night, I wouldn't recommend it, but sometimes it works for you.
It helps. Yeah. Yeah.
But shouldn't do it like very often because it
Mm.
can't be a good solution for your health.
Yeah. But fair enough. I think the key point that you mentioned also is the fact that it happened more during exam time and wasn't something that was happening, throughout the year, uh, because that becomes more challenging. And in certain curriculums, that can happen throughout the year. I mean,
Yeah.
even in college, through you have like finals weeks and all, and at that time you'll end up having all nighters and
Yeah.
being up till really late. So that's fair. Perfect. Last question that I have, Hunar, is more about your recruitment, whole admissions journey, student athlete recruitment journey. How is that whole experience? I know I helped you, but I want to know from your perspective in terms of not the things that I know, but how is your experience of going through it all, just looking at it from a broader perspective that it's not something that everyone does, so it's not talked about enough. And it is a unique process where you're talking to college coaches. A lot of times you're confused whether they're going to give you an offer, not give you an offer. They're not clear. They're also playing their own games at times. Sometimes coaches want you early, but you're not ready to give an answer. So tell me about how your whole journey and experience was, and even the summer trips you did to the US. So would love for you to touch on these aspects.
So I think my journey was smoother than I expected it to be. Next track did definitely help me with everything. I never felt overwhelmed with a lot of work. They helped me with essays, emails, and all of that. So like the work pressure that I had was not as much, and I don't think I could have done it all by myself. I saw my friends struggling with all of the applications and all of that pressure. They were just burdened with so much work. But I think I was like very at ease, and Next Track was very helpful. Their support was incredible. Um, for the recruitment part of it, I did start sending out emails early last year, and I was like very waiting for responses from coaches, sending out 100 emails, but only getting responses from like 10, 15. Was a little like, like, why aren't the rest responding to me? But I think, I mean, it was tough, but it wasn't as tough that I imagined it to be. I started talking to coaches, and then sometimes they wanted me, didn't want me, and then when I didn't get an offer, I would feel like, why didn't I get an offer from the school? But then I did get a few very good offers, and I went to the US for tournaments, and I think that really helped me because the exposure and like the courses you play is very different there. You get to interact and meet coaches. The people I was talking to through email, I actually got to meet them in person, which was like very good thing to, actually meet them in person, try to talk to them, like really have a conversation because it's very different over email or call and in person. So the US trips really helped me to, like show them my game and like talk to them. And that I think it was after the US trip that I actually did start getting serious offers. And in August, they actually wanted early commitment and verbal commitments from me, which I don't think I was actually ready for it at back then, but they needed an answer. So it was a tough week to actually, like decide one school I want to go to and like saying no to the rest. That was also a little, like tough, like saying no to the other schools and just saying yes to one. But overall, my process was very nice. I'm going to Xavier University, and yeah, I think I made the right decision, and the few factors that I made the decision on, which were ticked by that one school. So I think it was a good decision that I made.
Yeah. And I think from my end, like some of the key things, one was that you were very easygoing. Like you understood everything. You understood, okay, this is the way things go. You don't get responses from everyone. Uh, a lot of students sometimes get really surprised that why am I not getting more responses? And I have to sometimes tell them, like start being more appreciative of the responses you are getting, because you'll be surprised how less of coaches actually respond. It's not that common. And whenever I meet coaches, I mean, they just tell me, oh, we're getting, depending on the college, depending on division, how good they are as a program, they're getting anywhere between 200 to 1,000 emails, and it's not easy. This is like on a weekly basis, so it's how do you expect them to navigate through all these different emails? It's not an easy thing, but of course it worked in your favor because you were playing some good golf. And I remember you had like a spell where some tournaments weren't going as well, but then suddenly you went to the US and the tournaments went really well. And I think that completely changed a lot of things around. And yeah, so I think US trip can help. I would not say to everyone that it's a. I've seen a lot of cases where scores have just really dipped and it hasn't really helped at all. But for those who've been able to go there, play competitive tournaments and do well, it can suddenly, you can go from 3 real offers to like 10 offers in like 2 weeks. And I think that did end up happening for you.
Yeah, it is stressful because you also have the pressure that okay, they've given me an offer right now, but if I don't play well in front of them, what if they take the offer back? That's also another stress factor, but I think I did do well in front of them, so
Yeah.
it worked out well for me. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome, Hunar. Thank you for sharing all these things. We've talked about a lot of different things today. So thanks for being a sport and being open about these aspects. Truly appreciated. And yeah, and you're sitting end of December, not worrying about college applications versus the rest of grade 12 batch is sitting and applying right now. So some perks of being a student athlete.
Yeah.
Uh,
Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you, and all the very best for your board exams also that are coming up. Make sure you're studying consistently, getting enough sleep also. Luckily, I think you'll be off from school soon, so you can do your night studying and wake up a little later in the day also. So that'll help.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram.